I think we all are in agreement that we're in a massive state of emergency, correct? We have to understand, I think, very intrinsically how the system was built. It was built on an exhaustive approach on exploitive sacrifice zones throughout the entire supply chain, right? So the sacrifice zones typically are Black and brown indigenous communities. Again, I have to drill in who have the technological advancement, who have the intellectual property, who have alternative solutions, but may not have the power and privilege. And so making sure that we do everything in our power at this juncture to have certain human beings who have that knowledge, those experiences at decision-making tables, who are able to strategize in ways that we don't have the fortitude to. Additionally, folks who do have the ample amount of privilege to make decisions, and I'm not saying that they're not, adding to what needs to be done, but then the folks who have a certain level of power and privilege need to have a paradigm shift in how they're thinking and approaching policy, how they're thinking and approaching the history, how they're thinking and approaching the future of sustainability with regulation at the heartbeat and the pulse of what's happening. I think what needs to happen with the agency that we have, right? We have forward momentum, and it's going to crash and burn if we don't attempt to do some slight shifts in the process. So I think there needs to be an ethnographic approach to how we are studying the communities who are most disproportionately affected and those communities who have contributed to being solutionists in this space. I think we need to really make it a priority. And as simple as that is, and I know policy in America is so effed up, and it is exhaustive, and it's complicated, and it's complex. But right now, we have to prioritize our thinking and really come up with circular strategies that are rooted in Black and brown indigenous thought. And it's easier said than done, absolutely. I think that in decolonizing our approaches, there's 3 pillars to our unsustainable system. One is marketing, which controls what we see and our perception. 2 is education, which controls information. And 3 is policy, which controls our access. And all of those 3 pillars are interchangeable, they're intersecting, and there are folks who are hard at work with various knowledge and skills who are tackling those 3 pillars. And I think we need to do everything in our power to, bless you, mama. I think we need to do everything in our power to take an uncomfortable step backwards in order to step forward. I was talking about marketing, education, and policy, and I think we need to try to create a bridge between those 3 ideologies, and they're not siloed, they're very much interconnected. And I actually have sat in spaces where there's somebody, talking from a fashion compliance point of view, council members talking, of course, at a more localized perspective. My business partner is a fashion lawyer. And so there are people who have the knowledge, but also when you're trying to tackle the fashion industry, that ecosystem is very scary. And a lot of folks who may have the knowledge in one aspect of the supply chain or from one juncture to another juncture within the supply chain, it gets cumbersome to even want to think about tackling sustainable fashion policy. So I think we need to think about marketing, think about education, and think about policy as a marriage.